Nissan's concept for the sedan of the future.
Excitement, innovation are part of our DNA.
Jaguar's new super sports car.
It's got like a Jekyll and Hyde personality.
The classic cars of Cuba.
It really is like stepping back in time here. As soon as one old car goes by, another one comes down the road.
Surprising facts about the organization that fights for motorists.
Now, we actually cover the member as opposed to the vehicle.
SST is brought to you by Stark Auto Sales, home of the ultimate worldwide scratch and dent car sale.
Hey friends, I'm Rick Walker. Welcome to another edition of the SST Car Show. We have a lot of really cool stuff lined up for you this week. We're even going to take you to Cuba for a look at the old classic cars that still drive around on the streets there every single day. We'll take a look at our import car of the year, the Jaguar F-Type. But first, here's a look at the Nissan Sports Sedan concept. And here's Nissan spokesperson Tim Franklin. This is the Nissan sedan concept.
Sports sedan concept.
Sports sedan concept, and it is a sporty car.
Absolutely.
Just look at the lines on this thing. It says speed to me.
Absolutely.
Is that what you're trying to convey to the public?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, this is a sports sedan concept. You know, we've had a long history of sports cars, athletic cars. Certainly the Maxima, which we've had for many years, the Ford is our four-door sports car, and this is sort of a direction of where we'll take the sports sedan direction in the future. And it's from the we call the V-motion grille. You look in the front, the lines carry over the body and flow on the side. Very fluid, very motion. The boomerang headlamps, you can see they kind of curve into the fenders there. All that gives you that emotion and sense of speed.
So what's the point of doing this? Is this to kind of give us an indication of where things are going with Nissan?
Absolutely. I mean, we do these, certainly they're design exercises, but there's an intent and a purpose in them. Certainly test some ideas and how the consumer and the marketplace responds to them. In this case, I think it's a pretty strong indication of where we're going to go with a future product. 21-inch wheels, plus over 300 horsepower, 3.5-liter V6. We've got a really neat formula here.
So I guess you've kind of reached back into Nissan's past for some design cues, but you're also trying to cut the edge a little bit too.
Absolutely. I mean, the great design, it begins with a foundation of great design, and we've had a long history of great and engaging and energetic design. So we don't throw that out with the baby with the bathwater, right? So you take those cues, carry them forward. Also gives you continuity of brands. People recognize the cars in Nissan, and so I think you see a lot of those elements. Again, the boomerang headlamps, the V-motion grille. Those are things you can see flavors in our existing other cars in our portfolio.
Mm-hmm. Excitement. Is that what you're trying to tell people, that your product lineup is exciting and getting more exciting?
Sure. I think Nissan as a brand, excitement, innovation are part of our DNA. It's how we differentiate ourselves from cars like the GTR and the Z to even the Micra over here behind us. There's fun and excitement is a part of our DNA, and it comes through in our designs.
Okay. So these design cues are going to end up in even your family vehicles, right?
Sure. I mean, you can look at even the Micra over here behind us. You can see the kind of the V-motion grille family relationship in it. Obviously, this is a very premium upscale car, and so a lot more premium materials and things in it. But right, absolutely, these cues kind of will show up in different ways, but across the portfolio.
And this vehicle, as it sits, is not going into production.
Right. This is a concept car, but I'll tell you, there's a car coming that's very has a lot of the same cues.
And when might we expect to see that on the road?
Oh, it's within the next couple of years.
Wow, pretty cool. We'll look forward to that.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. And now, as promised, we take you to Cuba for a look at the old classic cars that still drive around on the streets there every day. You'll be surprised at what they do to keep these things moving. Antique vehicles, especially 1950s-era American cars, have been a common sight on the roads of Cuba for decades. But now they are more common than ever. In fact, almost half of the vehicles you see on the streets in cities like Havana and Veradero are antiques. Plymouth Belvederes, Oldsmobile Rockets, vintage Pontiacs, mid-50s Bel Airs, and old boats like this 1949 Cadillac, now used by Manuel as a taxi cab from the pre-revolutionary era, are still here. What year is this car?
1949, my friend.
1949
49,
Cadillac? People kept these old beasts because after the Socialist Revolution in 1959, the U.S. imposed an embargo on the export of American cars and parts to Cuba. Cuban mechanics have been performing mechanical miracles ever since Fidel Castro and Che Guevara marched into Havana. Classic American iron has become as much a backdrop to Cuban culture as rum and cigars. It really is like stepping back in time here. As soon as one old car goes by, another one comes down the road. These old classics began to fade away, though, because they became so expensive to maintain. That is, until now. And they're back in a big way because of economic reforms.
You know, we live in Cuba. It's the life in Cuba. You need to fix, repair the car for job.
Raul Castro, Fidel's younger brother, has launched a government initiative that for the first time allows for limited ventures in capitalism. The reforms include restaurants, beauty parlors, merchandising, and some private taxis. That means potential profit, which until now is prohibited in Cuba. And that is generating economic growth and stimulating the restoration of Cuba's estimated 60,000 surviving American classic cars. Don't go away. When we come back, our look at the classic cars of Cuba continues.
Don't go away! That's right, because we got more street sport television coming your way.
Turn back the hands of time with antique Chevrolet parts. Since 1971, we've been sourcing parts from around the world to help you restore and maintain antique Chevs. Nose to tail fins, we have your parts. Call us toll free at 1-866-767-2787. Get help from a real person or go to antiquechev.com. Download a catalog, order online, delivered to your front door. Antique Chev, helping you turn back the hands of time.
Stark Auto Sales, a better way to buy a car. Thousands of cars, trucks, motorcycles, even ATVs auctioned off twice a month. Yeah! Bid in person, bid online from anywhere in the world. Stark is an insurance recovery center selling accident and theft recovery vehicles. Every vehicle's condition is different, from parts cars to damage-free dream rides. Cut out the conventional car sellers. Buy direct from Stark and save big time. 119 Union Street, Toronto. Visit StarkAutoSales.com to confirm auction dates, view inventory, register, and bid. Hey everybody, welcome back to SST. Back we go now to Cuba, where our look at the classic cars of Cuba continues. Not all of the old iron on the roads of Cuba is American. Russian Ladas are also very common, like this 1989 Lada taxi operated by Roberto. Most of the vehicles look a bit beat up, well, a lot beat up actually, and most could use a good tune-up, but tourists love them. Like many of the old American cars on the road, Manuel's has been updated with a Hyundai diesel engine to take advantage of Cuba's much lower diesel fuel prices. Manuel's old Cadillac is still owned by the government, but he is allowed to rent it so he can run his own taxi business. A handful of taxi drivers are allowed to own and operate their taxis as independent drivers. The tips from tourists make driving a cab one of the best paying jobs available in Cuba. The U.S. embargo is still in place, and there is obviously still tension between the U.S. and Cuba, but this old international school bus being used to transport U.S. exchange students around the Cuban countryside and steps toward economic reform are the first signs in decades that Cold War tensions may finally be slowly thawing. 1.5 million Canadians visit Cuba every year. Millions more arrive from Russia, Germany, and other parts of Europe annually. Political ideology aside, the American classics on the roads of Cuba have now become a cultural staple and a huge asset for the country's rapidly expanding tourism industry. This year, our SST import car of the year is the Jaguar F-Type. Here's a look at what happened when they unveiled this vehicle for the first time in Canada.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're pleased to unveil for the first time in Canada the pinnacle of our F-Type range, the 550 horsepower F-Type R Coupe. Bottom line, it's strong, it's sharp, and it's wickedly fast. Because after all, at Jaguar, it certainly is good to be bad.
Lindsay, the F-Type, I guess, really does kind of harken back to Jaguar's roots. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit for our viewers?
Well, it's our first two-seater sports car since the E-Type. So depending on who's counting, some people say 45 years, some say 50 years, but that's a long time. But I think, you never serve fine wine before it's time, and I think certainly what our designers and engineers proved is that, with the F-Type, that we certainly have delivered a car that's not a successor of the E-Type, but certainly puts Jaguar back on the map as far as a manufacturer of great sporting performance cars.
A lot of new technology has been built into this car, from the way that it has been built to the way that it's powered. Can you just give us a little insight into that technology and how this car really is cutting edge?
Sure. Well, we have three models. We have the F-Type, we have a V6, a V6S, and a V8 in the convertible. So you have 340 horsepower, 380 horsepower, and then 510 horsepower. And then in the Coupe, which we're just unveiling today here at the Canadian International Auto Show, you have 550 horsepower V8 version. So, and you have a whole combination of active dampers, mechanical differentials, electronic differentials, open exhaust. So, depending on the model, there's a lot of sophisticated technology. Actually, the 550 horsepower, the R Coupe, has torque vectoring in it as well. But great supercharged engines, and of course it's all aluminum, or maybe I should say aluminium construction, so it's light, it's stable. You got this great 50-50 weight balance, and you just feel like you're in a fighter cockpit inside. So I was driving one last summer, and I tell you, it was just the most brilliant car, and I can't remember a car that got so much attention on the road.
Very sexy, and there's just something about having just the two seats, because the XK, of course, had that little back seat, but when you just have the two seats, it really does become a true two-seat sports car.
Yeah, it is, and yet, when before I drove it, I thought, it is a two-seater sports car. Now, it's a little deceiving because from a price point, we're between, say, a Boxster Cayman and 911, but it's actually about the same size as 911, actually a little wider, so it's actually a good size roadster. But I thought, as a result, as a two-seater sports car, it would be a little rough. But it's got like a Jekyll and Hyde personality. You can go cruising for a long cruise on the highway. It's very, very comfortable. I was driving up to the cottage a couple hours north of here in the summer. But then, you put it in sport mode, put on the active exhaust, and boom, look out. And having had it on the track as well, I think I was up to about 275 kilometers an hour. It is rock steady. So just a fun car. If this car doesn't put a smile on your face, then you're dead.
Well, listen, thank you very much.
Hey.
Congratulations on the achievement, Car of the Year, and it really does, I guess, speak to Jaguar's future as a leader in the sports car field.
Yeah, there's a lot more coming, so stay tuned.
And now a look at some classics in our own backyard. This is what we saw at this year's Blenheim Classics Car Show in Blenheim, Ontario. Nissan is doing some pretty cool things with its new cars, and a lot of those ideas for the new cars that they're producing have come from their concept vehicles. Here's a look at something that might give you an indication of what's coming in the future. This is the Nissan Blade. Don't go away, there's more SST right around the corner.
Hi, I'm Cindy. Don't go away. We have more SST coming.
Turn back the hands of time with antique Chevrolet parts. Since 1971, we've been sourcing parts from around the world to help you restore and maintain antique Chevs. Nose to tail fins, we have your parts. Call us toll free at 1-866-767-2787. Get help from a real person or go to antiquechev.com. Download a catalog, order online, delivered to your front door. Antique Chev, helping you turn back the hands of time.
Stark Auto Sales, a better way to buy a car. Thousands of cars, trucks, motorcycles, even ATVs auctioned off twice a month. Yeah! Bid in person, bid online from anywhere in the world. Stark is an insurance recovery center selling accident and theft recovery vehicles. Every vehicle's condition is different, from parts cars to damage-free dream rides. Cut out the conventional car sellers. Buy direct from Stark and save big time. 119 Union Street, Toronto. Visit starkautosales.com to confirm auction dates, view inventory, register, and bid. And now, our weekly conversation with the Canadian Automobile Association's Corey Kennedy. Joining us now is Corey Kennedy from the Canadian Automobile Association. Corey, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be here.
Corey, the Canadian Automobile Association is an organization that offers, I guess, insurance first and foremost, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me what kind of insurance people are getting when they sign up for a membership.
Well, appreciating the fact that the club's been around in excess of 100 plus years, we have a very proud as well as rich history. And as you alluded to, again, first and foremost, we're renowned for our roadside assistance. It's unparalleled in comparison to any other, and recognizing the fact that, again, people appreciate the value when it comes to the fact if they plan on doing a fair amount of travel, there's always the inherent risk that something may happen to the vehicle, and by having the card, they know that they're actually covered if something impromptu does happen.
And you have different levels of insurance available as well, right? Because you could get regular CAA or CAA plus. What's the difference?
Well, again, recognizing the fact that, again, all our members' wants and needs differ from one to the other, we have various levels. We have basic, plus, as well as premier. So from that perspective, depending on how many kilometers an individual plans on traveling, we will try to tailor the card level to what they deem to be appropriate or based on what their inherent needs are. But again, beyond that, regardless of the level that they actually have, they're entitled to accessing all the benefits that the club offers.
And I can tell you from personal experience that it truly is insurance that you can use, because if you break down, CAA will show up and tow you to the nearest garage or someplace. Can you just tell me a little bit about how that coverage works?
Sure, and that's what is the primary difference between CAA's coverage as opposed to some of the other MRAPs. Now, we actually cover the member as opposed to the vehicle. So hypothetically, if a situation arises where a car-carrying member is driving driving with, we'll say, a group of other soccer moms or hockey dads or whatever it may be, and a non-member's car breaks down, well, they can actually call the club in order for us to come and provide them assistance. So that is the primary difference as opposed to some of the other providers. But beyond that, we cover a slew of different issues that may arise with regards to a vehicle breaking down. So whether it be battery related, whether it be tire related, or even mechanical, what we'll do is you physically call us, and or we've actually evolved from a technology perspective. You can actually even text us now, and we'll do our best to respond in a very timely manner, assess the situation, and then respond accordingly. So to your point, if it means that we actually have to drop you off at one of our AARS facilities and or another garage of the members' request, or even back at their own respective home, we'll gladly do so, again, depending on the service level that they have, which is limited for X amount of kilometers.
Now we're just about running out of time, but just to wrap up, it's not just about roadside assistance. You guys also act as, I guess, advocates for motorists and also provide a lot of other benefits like travel benefits. Just touch on that, and then we're going to come back a little later on in other programs and explain some of the other benefits of CA, but just wrap it up for me.
Absolutely. So again, from our perspective, we're more than just roadside assistance. We do provide our members with travel services, insurance, as well as advocacy, which is near and dear to my heart. And over the course of the next couple of segments, I'll be glad to elaborate, because we have done several various campaigns as well as initiatives, working very closely with all three levels of government in order to access additional funding, whether it be for distracted driving, infrastructure, road safety, whatever it may be. So yes, belonging to the organization isn't so much about roadside assistance. It goes far beyond, and that's why we remain Canada's premier organization, or automotive association.
And there you have it, and you can find out more at caa.ca. Well, friends, we are out of time, so until next time, I'm Rick Walker reminding you, when you can't get to the car show, we will bring the car show to you. Catch you next time, right here on the next edition of SST.
Maverick Multimedia production.